Hi, I've got something you'll be interested in. Those performance upgrades we discussed after the last race. They're on the car and the data looks promising. Take a look at the details.
What is up, people, and welcome back to my F1 2017 career mode here at the Russian Grand Prix for round 4 of Season 2. And as always, if you are new around here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And also, if you do want to catch up with the whole entire series, you can do so with the card annotation in the top right-hand corner of your screens. But before we get into today's episode, we have got a new part fitted to the car. We've increased the chassis, having a weight reduction wiring loom fitted to the car, which means the chassis has now caught up to the aerodynamics, but both of them are lacking a little bit behind our powertrain at the moment, so we do need to improve both of those as the season goes on. The only way to do that, of course, is to get resource points, which we will be doing today in the practice session. But so far this season, it has been a pretty decent one. We had that amazing double podium at the Australian Grand Prix, then head over to China. A little bit disappointing in that race. We should have got some really good amount of points there, but unfortunately just extending our stint on those intermediate tyres really cost us and meant that we didn't score any points. Then of course last time around at the Bahrain Grand Prix, a great freeway battle with that man Esteban Ocon and of course my teammate as well. It was an incredible race between the three of us, and we did manage to get 7th place at the end of the day. But here we are in the practice session doing the track acclimatization now, getting 50 resource points out of that one, and also a little team objective in the left hand corner of your screens of running a low fuel lap as well. So that was pretty decent, getting the objective there, getting the 50 points and getting extra little 5 resource points as well for that. Now doing the tyre wear management, just about beating the lap time at the end of the day, but we also beat the purple score as well, which means we got a result of low tyre wear, which should be able to help us in terms of the race, and maybe means that we can sort of make our tyres last a lot longer in the actual race. And that is actually now 100 points added to our resources bank. Now coming around the final corner once again, doing this time around the fuel strategy one, and managing to get the purple score on that one too. So far, it's been a pretty decent first practice session, weaving the wheel in celebrations. We've got purple scores across the board, which is pretty decent as well. Unfortunately, we are way down the field in P17. It feels like the Renault car is lacking a little bit around this circuit, but of course we haven't done any practice programs that would really suggest that we will be quick around this circuit. This is the one though, round the final corner now on the qualifying test, and we just about beat the green score. Unfortunately, not able to get the purple one at the end of the day. That was my best lap time in that whole entire qualifying run, so it looks like the green score was the best that we can do. Now doing the race strategy one as well. Looks like we're going to get a purple score out of this one, which we do. There we go, 50 resource points added to the bank once more, and that is a pretty decent practice session from ourselves, if I must say so. And at the end of FP2, it means we are in 10th position. So I said in FP1 that we were struggling a little bit, but in FP2 on the ultra soft tyres, it looks like we're actually pretty decent in the dry conditions. Hopefully we can convert that performance into a good qualifying session as well. But so far it's looking pretty decent. We have got a bit of time to find in terms of our teammate, but I'm sure we will be able to find that as the weekend goes on. But without any further ado, let's head over to the qualifying session for the Russian Grand Prix.
Welcome back to Sochi. We're about to be joining the action down in the pit lane as the cars get ready to embark on their qualifying runs.
It's qualifying time here at the Russian Grand Prix, and as you can see on your screens, it is chucking it down with rain. It is torrential rain here at this Russian Grand Prix round. The final corner now, not a good line through there. Bad exit as well, but we do set a lap time of 1:54.3 at the moment. It's currently slower than my teammate, but quicker than Kevin Magnussen, so it's not too bad, and maybe that might be enough to sneak through into Q2. Unfortunately, it's not at the end of the day, and here we are on lap 2 now. Only just, well actually I say only just, we're now 6 tenths quicker than our previous best lap time. We are ahead of Marcus Ericsson, but behind my teammate of Nico Hulkenberg. Round the final corner once more, going to be about a second quicker than our previous best lap time, which we are, and that puts us up into P5, behind Max Verstappen, but ahead of Carlos Sainz, which looks like it could be a pretty decent place to be. But the track is drying up as this session goes on. You can see now at the end of our third lap, at the end of this qualifying session, the track has definitely dried up out there, and we're now about 1 second quicker than our previous best time. So it looks like we're going even quicker at the moment in this qualifying session. Through the final corner, not a good line through there, but down the power just to accelerate and get to the line as quickly as we possibly can. We go into the barrier, but was it enough to get us into Q2? No, it's not. Somehow we were out of that qualifying session. Really disappointing at the end of the day. Not quick enough than the likes of the McLaren of Fernando Alonso, and also beaten by the other McLaren of Stoffel Van Dorn. So it looks like the Renault just was not good in these wet conditions around this Russian Grand Prix, because we were actually knocked out alongside my teammate of Nico Hulkenberg. So we're going to be starting today's race way down the field in P16 with Nico Hulkenberg down there as well in 18th position. Not a good day for either of the Renault drivers, but the race is supposed to be in dry conditions, so it means that we're going to have a bit of fun in the race, making quite a few overtakes and hopefully trying to get up into a points scoring position. If we can do that, then that'll be a fantastic recovery drive at the end of the day. But what can we do from 16th on the grid? Let's find out as we head over to the race for the Russian Grand Prix.
Obviously, there's a lot of development work that goes on with these cars between the races. You've been both a test driver and a race driver. What differences are there in the way you approach those roles?
Interesting question, Crofty. They're two very different mindsets. I mean, when I tested for BAR, we had full in-season testing where, per driver, you'd cover up to 15,000 kilometers per season. And in that role, it was more about working for the team, trying to help them improve the car and drive as systematically as you could, so that that data could be analysed in the most consistent way. When you're lining up on the grid for a race, however, your frame of mind's all about what you can get out of the situation on that day, and the car's the tool to help you achieve what you want. You still want to focus on setup, of course, but it's more about the here and now, getting yourself as far up the field as possible, and less about development work for the future.
Before we get into today's race, however, let's take a look at the starting order for the Russian Grand Prix. And lining up in pole position is the Finnish driver of Valtteri Bottas, with his compatriot Kimi Räikkönen lining up alongside him in second. That's Lewis Hamilton third, Vettel in fourth, Max Verstappen in fifth, and Sergio Perez lines up in sixth. Daniel Ricciardo is seventh on the grid, with Grosjean in eighth, Felipe Massa in ninth, Lance Stroll 10th, and Carlos Sainz in 11th. Esteban Ocon lines up 12th, with Danny Kvyat 13th, Fernando Alonso in 14th, and Stoffel van Dorn 15th. Not a good day for both the Renault drivers, myself in 16th, Magnussen 17th, Hulkenberg 18th, and the two Saubers right at the back of the field, with Pascal Wehrlein in 19th and Marcus Ericsson at the back of the grid. So we are starting in P16 for today's race of the Russian Grand Prix. Not a good qualifying session for ourselves. Unfortunately, the wet weather just really making it difficult for us in those conditions. But the race strategy for today, starting on the ultra soft tyres and pitting for a set of super soft tyres halfway through the race, and that should be able to take us till the end. Also whacking up the fuel load like we always do to give us the best opportunity to run rich right at the start of the race. We go to 5 red lights for the Russian Grand Prix, and it is lights out and away we go. It's a good start compared to Stoffel van Dorn on the left-hand side. Looks like they may have Kevin Magnussen, though, on the left as well. He's got a fantastic start running down in towards turn 1. He's still on the left-hand side. We try and get past Fernando Alonso with that greater straight-line speed. Running down in towards turn 2 now. What can we do under braking? So much better under braking than all the other drivers around us. Just slipping up the inside and moving ourselves up into 9th position. What an incredible start we have witnessed here today, right on the back of Romain Grosjean, going down in towards turn 4, having a little look there up the inside of the Haas driver through turn 4, down in towards turn 5 now. Can we get the job done on the Frenchman in towards turn 5? Yes, we can. Up the inside, under braking, and there we go, moving up into 8th position in the matter of 5 corners at this Russian Grand Prix. We started in 16th place. We gained 8 positions on the start. Absolutely incredible. And now we're going to have a look at a replay of exactly how we did it. So here we go, watching the start on the run down in towards turn 1 and turn 2. So we have Kevin Magnussen on the left-hand side. There was the contact between the two of us. He turned in for turn 1 a little bit too early, made a little bit of contact, but luckily for the two of us, there wasn't any major issue between us two. Then just so much later on the brakes than everybody else. We had a clean line up the inside, went 3 wide for a moment, but managed to get the job done and went side by side momentarily there with Lance Stroll, but we did get the job done, and then that put us right behind Romain Grosjean. We're going to have to take another look, this time on board once again, so getting past Stoffel van Dorn there on the left-hand side. Kevin Magnussen also having a great start. Remember, he was on my left-hand side as well. Maybe could have taken it a little bit tighter through turn 1. That would have avoided the contact between the two of us, but then we just dive up the inside of all these drivers. A lot of drivers getting caught up with each other, and there was just that gap, that gap up the inside, and we took it, you know. At the end of the day, if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver. So we went for that gap, we took it, and what a great opportunity that was, as we're now watching a battle between Nico Hulkenberg, I think this is Kevin Magnussen, and Fernando Alonso at the same time. Nico Hulkenberg going up the inside, going 3 wide down in towards turn 2. They all get the job done on Fernando Alonso. Fernando Alonso actually dropping through the field. Now getting overtaken by 2 Sauber drivers as well. Disaster there for Fernando Alonso. He's lost about 5 positions in the space of 2 corners. We're still watching this battle unfold between Nico Hülkenberg and Kevin Magnussen at the moment. But my teammate does get the job done. He gets past Kevin Magnussen, and there's good news for him. We're hoping to try and get Nico Hülkenberg into the points here today, and if we can have a double points finish for the Renault team, that will help us in the battle with the Williams and the Force Indias as well. So we're cutting ahead to lap 12. Nothing really happening in those laps. We're now darting into the pit lane for our first and only pit stop. Well, hopefully our only pit stop in this Russian Grand Prix. Of course, if we do have any collisions or anything like that, then we may have to come into the pits later on down the road. But fingers crossed that does not happen. It looks like the Red Bull driver of, I think that is Daniel Ricciardo, also comes into the pits behind us. So does Sergio Perez ahead of us. And I think that was the Williams driver of Felipe Massa as well. So we want a quick pit stop here from the Renault pit crew. And it's a 2.9. Not the quickest that we have seen in the past, but it was still good enough to get us ahead of Daniel Ricciardo. Just about, I must add there, just about getting us ahead of Daniel Ricciardo, but we do get the job done and we stay in 13th position for the time being. We've got McLaren on the left-hand side, but it looks like we are going to get out ahead of him. But will there be a side-by-side battle between those two behind us? It looks like the McLaren behind us, I think that's Fernando Alonso, gets the job done on Daniel Ricciardo, which is good news for us. It means that Ricciardo is going to get slowed up by the McLaren, and that can help us get a gap over Daniel Ricciardo, who we will be battling with over the course of the rest of this race. And now we're cutting ahead to the next couple of laps. It looks like there's a few more drivers coming into the pits, including Lance Stroll, and we get past there the Williams driver. Moving up into P11, not quite into the points just yet, but there are still a few drivers out on track left to come into the pits. So once those drivers do come into the pits, we will hopefully be back up into the points once again. So we're now watching this battle unfold between Daniel Ricciardo and Lance Stroll right behind us. This is important. This is important for us. Lance Stroll needs to hold off Daniel Ricciardo if we want to hold off Ricciardo as well, because he's going to be very quick in catching us up over the course of the rest of the race. Unfortunately, it looks like Daniel Ricciardo has got the job done on Lance Stroll. Moves up into P12 and will now be hunting us down for this 11th position, which will be further up the field once a few more drivers do come into the pits. As we're now cutting ahead to the end of lap 16, now right on the back of Kevin Magnussen in this race. He's currently in the points. We need to get past Kevin Magnussen if we want to get some points here today, and we're going to get that done right now as Kevin Magnussen does decide to come into the pits here on lap 16. So that moves us up into P10 for the time being. Any other drivers coming into the pits right now? Yes, there are a few more drivers into the pits right now, so that is going to push us up into P7, including Lewis Hamilton, who is going for a 2-stop strategy. Really interesting thing to see there as Ricciardo goes for the attack on us. We move over to the right-hand side, defend against Red Bull drive. He darts it around the outside of turn 2. Can he hold it through there? No, he can't. And there we go, holding on to P7. But I predict that this battle is going to continue over the final 10 laps of this race. We've got Ricciardo hot on our heels, and he's most likely going to be going for the overtake in every single DRS zone on this circuit. Here goes Daniel Ricciardo once again, this time down in towards turn 13. Ricciardo on the left-hand side. We're going to try and stay with him, tuck in that slipstream a little bit as we dart it up the inside in towards this right-hander. So much better under braking than Ricciardo. We give him the room, then go around the outside of this left-hander, and there we go. Job done on Daniel Ricciardo, holding on to P7 for the time being. Unfortunately, we're just not able to catch up to Carlos Sainz, who is in P6 right now, but Sainz looks like he could be coming into the pits, which he is. Carlos Sainz into the pits here on lap 17, and that should move us into the top 6 for today's race. Anybody else into the pits right now? No. So that means that we will be in P6. There we go, 6th position for the Russian Grand Prix. Can Daniel Ricciardo do anything to come back at us right now? Doesn't look like it, and we're now cutting ahead to lap 19. I've got Ricciardo on my tail as well as Lewis Hamilton right now. Ricciardo on the left-hand side, going down in towards turn 2. Under braking, we were a lot better than the Red Bull driver, squeezing him through turn 2, and he's now got the inside line through turn 3. Can he hold on to that position? He's got the inside line. Unfortunately, we'd add a little bit of a disadvantage round the outside, but we may be able to dart up the inside in towards turn 4, which we do side by side with Ricciardo still side by side on the run down in towards turn 5. Looks like Lewis Hamilton looks to get involved here, down towards turn 5. He might go up the inside of Daniel Ricciardo, which it looks like he has done in our mirrors. Those two guys now going side by side. But that greater speed of the Mercedes gives Lewis Hamilton the chance to dive it up the inside. And that is one of the most opportunistic moves that I've ever seen from an AI driver. So aggressive, darts it up the tiniest of spaces up the inside there. Lewis Hamilton gets the job done and moves up into P6. It just goes to show that the quicker pace of that Mercedes and the better tyres, it just gave him such a huge advantage in this race. Unfortunately, had nothing, absolutely nothing to hold on to that P6 at the end of the day. But do we have anything to hold on to P7? Ricciardo once again getting the job done into this right-hander, but once again we come back at him under the braking through the left-hander, holding it around the outside, giving him just enough room, but he has to back out of it because he has got a very tight inside line through there. We just didn't give him a lot of room, but gave him enough, but just not enough room so that he could go full pelt through that corner. So that would sort of gave us a good advantage through there. But once again, here on lap 23 this time around, Ricciardo goes for the move on the left-hand side. He's going to have to go around the outside of this right-hander. Once again, better under braking. The yellow flag has come out, which means we can't go for the overtake just yet. Then the green flag came out, so we were good to go for the overtake around the outside of Daniel Ricciardo. It'd be interesting to see why that yellow flag came out. Doesn't look like there was an incident for any other driver. Watching on board now with Max Verstappen, who's running at the back of this train. So we've got myself, then Daniel Ricciardo, then Lance Stroll, and then Max Verstappen currently running in P10. So what happened to Max Verstappen? He just jumped on the brakes. Not too sure what happened to Max Verstappen. There's not a puncture or anything like that on his car. It's really strange there from Max Verstappen. For some reason, he just jumps on the brakes and slows down, drops down a few gears, and then gets going once again. So maybe there was a quick little engine failure. He had to switch something, change something up on the car, but I guess we'll never know what happened to Max Verstappen through there. Now, 2 laps left to go of this Russian Grand Prix. I've got Daniel Ricciardo fighting it once again around my outside through turn 2. Unfortunately for him, there is nothing that he can do through that corner. We cut ahead now to the final lap of this Russian Grand Prix. 1 lap left to go, and the battle for 7th position continues. Ricciardo still very much on my tail, going into the final corner to kickstart the final lap here today. We've got Lance Stroll and Max Verstappen having their own little battle a few car lengths behind us, so it doesn't look like we're going to have to worry about either of those two drivers. But there's a yellow flag out as Kimi Raikkonen, on the final lap of the Russian Grand Prix, running in 2nd place, has had an engine failure. Disaster has struck there for the Finnish driver. He had such a clean race right at the front there, running in P2. And then all of a sudden, the yellow flag has come out. He has had an engine. His engine has given up on him right at the end of the race, which means that this is now a battle for 6th place. This is more points on board, which will, 1, really help us in the championship, and 2, also help us in the Constructors' Championship, as well as giving us a bit of pride over the likes of Daniel Ricciardo and Max Verstappen. But through the final corner now, Valtteri Bottas wins the Russian Grand Prix. He has had an absolutely phenomenal race. Led it from start to finish. Sebastian Vettel finishes in 2nd place. Unfortunately there for Kimi Raikkonen not to get onto the podium here today, but unfortunately for him it is a DNF and he will have 0 points scored. But that's really good news there for Valtteri Bottas. Failed to score points in the first 3 rounds of this season, and now he has finally won a race. So great result for him, but the battle still continues between myself and Daniel Ricciardo. Can we hold on to P6 at the end of the day? Look at that, Felipe Massa getting onto the podium for the Russian Grand Prix. That's absolutely incredible stuff. At a race last season where Sergio Perez got onto the podium. So it looks like Russia really throws up a few surprises. But nevertheless, we are going to come round the final corner now to get a fantastic 6th position at the Russian Grand Prix. What an incredible race here today at the Russian Grand Prix. We started way down the field in P16, but that amazing start that we had moved us from P16 to P8 by the time we got down in towards turn 5. Incredible scenes here today, the Russian Grand Prix. And then, of course, the DNF for Kimi Raikkonen really helped us out, and the extra pit stop made there by Max Verstappen moved us up into P6. And that's 8 points added to our tally. So a fantastic result for us here today. Valtteri Bottas, of course, is the race winner. His first points on board for the season. And it comes with a race win. So be very, very happy with that. Especially after the DNF they had at the Bahrain Grand Prix, where he was, in fact, leading that race. So we'll be very, very happy with that result here today. Sebastian Vettel finishes today's race in P2, and Felipe Massa gets onto the podium. A great result there for the Williams driver. Not good news for us, because of course we are battling with Massa and Perez in the championship, and of course we are battling with Williams and Force India in the constructors one as well. So a little bit annoying that those guys have got better results than us, but there is still a long season ahead of us. Lewis Hamilton finishes in P4 after making the 2-stop strategy not really work for him. It looks like Mercedes are struggling with their strategy this season. They've made some bad calls that have really cost their drivers the results. Lewis Hamilton could have got up onto the podium here today, especially after Kimi Raikkonen's engine failed. Sergio Perez finishes ahead of us in P5 with myself in 6th. Daniel Ricciardo 7th here today with Lance Stroll in 8th. Max Verstappen in 9th, and Esteban Ocon in the other Force India picks up the final point here today. Further down the field then, and Romain Grosjean finishes in 11th, Carlos Sainz in 12th, Kevin Magnussen finishing down in 13th position. Then we had Danny Kvyat down in 14th, Nico Hülkenberg in 15th, Fernando Alonso 16th, Kimi Räikkönen with a DNF here today down in 17th position, and Stoffel van Dorn in 18th, Marcus Ericsson 19th, and Pascal Wehrlein right at the back of the field with 20th position here today. Drivers' Championship then, after 4 rounds of this Season 2. And we're currently in P6 at the moment. Pretty good position for ourselves after 4 rounds. Got a lot of points on board compared to what we had back in Season 1. So we're very happy with that. We're only 2 points behind Sergio Perez, but we are a little bit off of where Felipe Massa is at the moment. 9 points behind the Williams driver. Of course, we are aiming for the same spot that we got, 7th position, which we got, of course, last season in Season 1. But if we can go better than that, that would be absolutely incredible at the end of the day. Sebastian Vettel leading the way in the championship right now, but Lewis Hamilton is slowly gaining on the Ferrari man. Of course, he didn't gain as many points as he would have liked here today at the Russian Grand Prix, but there is still a long way left to go in the season. And finally, taking a look at the constructors' standings, Ferrari lead the way on that one, now only 18 points ahead of Mercedes. So it does look like Mercedes are coming back at the Ferrari team after what happened last time around at the Bahrain Grand Prix. And of course, not really getting the best result here today at the Russian Grand Prix as well. Red Bull Racing dropped down in towards P3. We are slowly gaining a little bit on Red Bull Racing, getting some good points here today, but not by enough. We need to really push on with myself and Nico Hülkenberg if we want to try and get the Red Bull team and move up into P3. But we've also got to be aware of where Red Bull Racing and Williams are. Force India and Williams Racing are, because of course we've got Force India only 2 points behind us and Williams are only 3 points. So we do have to be aware of those two teams. It looks like the battle is really going to be heating up for that 4th position in the Constructors' Championship. But that is it for today's Russian Grand Prix. If you have enjoyed the episode, don't forget to smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so for daily Formula 1 content, and also don't forget to share this video with your friends. And I'll see you next time at the Spanish Grand Prix for round 5 of Season 2. But until then, it's goodbye from me.